Nature, like racing, is raw. You must be aware of your environment as you are surrounded by energy. You must learn to harness it, store it, and release it. Then you can achieve anything.
Hello and welcome to Extreme E with round 3 of the 2023 Championship coming to you from Scotland, the Hydro X Prix. I'm Andrew Coley and joining me in commentary is Katie Osborne.
Now Coley, we know that Extreme E is more than just great racing. It is a sport with a message about the environmental threats to the places it visits and some of the solutions that will help. Like this old coal mine in which we are racing this weekend, which is about to be transformed into a hydropower plant.
Yep, looking forward to this one. The fully electric Odyssey 21 machines have, of course, taken on very varied terrains in the last couple of seasons, from the ice glaciers of Greenland to the deserts of Chile. And the conditions here in Scotland, once again, will have their unique challenges.
Yeah, isn't that right? Now, 20 of the world's finest off-road racers are here in Scotland. Plus, this is a gender-equal sport. Each team has one female and one male driver that competes together to claim vital championship points.
Well, the teams are all here to win, of course, but they also work together at each round's legacy project, where the drivers will get hands-on, helping with a local environmental initiative. So then, let's see where Extreme E will be visiting in Season 3.
Well, Coley, we kicked off the season on the beaches of the Red Sea in Saudi Arabia. It was sandy, it was rocky. Valache Racing took home that race win #1 and Acciota Signs #2.
I suspect the conditions here in Scotland are going to be a little bit different. On the right-hand side, you can see it says mud and rocks. Everything we've seen from the track so far on social media suggests there is a lot of mud. Excited to see the conditions the drivers have got to face.
We've been there before. Sardinia, we know it's tough on these cars. It's dry, it's ruddy. But this is one that produces a lot of great competition between these drivers. And in fact, that's going to be coming around in July.
It is indeed. We've then got a TBC 16th and 17th of September. You'll find out where the Centelena is heading soon to deliver the Odyssey 21s, for what I'm sure will be another thrilling encounter.
Can't wait to see where we go there. And of course, rounding out the season is Chile. This one has had some great racing out there. It's rocky, it's gravel, it's actually a copper mine. And it's at the tail end of the year here in 2023.
Well, we mentioned the weather might be a little bit different here in Scotland. We weren't anticipating that it would be quite as different quite this early, Katie. Well, welcome to the series. Great to have you here, mate. This is what we call a pea soup, which is a really thick bog.
A pea soup. We don't have that here stateside, but hey, that's it.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting, though, Coley. We talk about extreme. This is one of those conditions that's an unexpected, but that's what these drivers are supposed to handle. Once it lifts, it'll be a little bit of a different story. Yeah,
we will need it to lift a little bit, unfortunately. There he goes, looking a bit better than it was. We've been seeing these shots for some 20 minutes or so, and it is starting to lift. So, fingers crossed. Now, of course, we didn't see any fog at the first couple of rounds. Saudi Arabia was all sunshine and sand and deserts. If you missed that, we would love to bring you up to speed. So take a look at this, rounds 1 and 2.
Neom, Saudi Arabia.
Hammer down now, release the handbrake and release all that horsepower down towards turn 1.
With the course passing a little too close to the Red Sea for some of the drivers.
Oh, into the water! Oh my God, they've gone
for a morning dip.
Everything okay?
Yes, it does.
The fast undulating terrain provided plenty of other challenges, with Andretti Altequilat caught out often, crashing out 3 times across 2 days of racing.
No, not again! A third roll for Andretti. This is unbelievable.
Round 1 ended with a quintessential move by Kristoffersson on the first corner of the final, slingshotting the Swede into first place.
In the background, watch out here for Johan Kristoffersson. The RXR machine, he's passed 3 cars already. Going to try and take the McConnell line around the outside. RXR sideline, but Veloce, it is RXR who lead.
However, it was his former teammate Molly Taylor who had the last lap, as Veloce was bumped up into first place by a penalty for RXR.
136-second penalty for car 6, slow zone speeding. Gone on the gas too early, and that's going to hand the win then to Molly Taylor and Kevin Hansen for Veloce.
The new doubleheader format meant that the drivers and more importantly the cars had to be ready to race again the following day. Saturday was a late night for a lot of engineers repairing damage to their race machines. For Abt Cupra, the hard work was definitely worth it as they powered through to the final of round 2.
Alatia goes up the inside into the door, runs the RXR wide.
They were joined by round 1 winners Veloce, as well as RXR, Achiona Sainz, and the number 99 GMC Hummer EV.
Christopherson making the same move as yesterday. Now we look for the Anoa hyperdrive. Christopherson goes first, but Ekstrom's used it already, has got a brilliant exit. No one's getting back to Ekstrom. Yesterday they were P2, but today they're going to go one better. Laya Sands is going to come down and jump over the finish line. Axiona Sainz win their first ever Extreme race here at Neom in Saudi Arabia.
Team boss Carlos Sainz was delighted as his team is now tied in points with Veloce at the top of the standings, with Rosberg X Racing lurking not too far behind in third.
There is the start in Scotland. We need that fog to lift just a little bit before we can launch the Odyssey 21s down towards turn 1. There is the sun. It'll be burning that fog off. Luckily, yesterday wasn't quite so foggy, so Laura managed to get out into the paddock and have a catch-up with some of the drivers ahead of the Scottish X Prix.
Well, dramatic racing in rounds 1 and 2 in Saudi Arabia. We now head here to Scotland for rounds 3 and 4, and currently joint top. But leading the way in the championship standings is Veloce and Molly Taylor. Now, cast your mind back 1 year ago, and I heard you say on the Extreme E podcast Off Track that you contemplated quitting the sport altogether when you were without a drive last year. It's a bit different 12 years on, isn't it? 12 years on, 12 months on, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really keep those thoughts for very long. I started to miss it pretty quickly, so yeah, really, really happy to be back, and Veloce have been such a welcoming team, and working with Kevin and the whole team has been, so far it's been amazing. We know what Extreme is all about. We know that anything can happen, and there's a really competitive field, but just having so much fun, learning a lot. We're improving every time we get out there, and so far so good, and we'll keep our heads down and keep working.
Yeah, love it. And it's such an established team as well. It's brilliant to see the relationship between you and Kevin. Thank you, Molly. Best of luck this weekend. OK, let's head into JBXE. And there is a new pairing. Heikki Kovalainen is, oh my goodness me, I thought I was speaking to Hedda. A quick change. We're speaking to the man himself. Heikki Kovalainen has stepped out of this team, and we have Andreas Baccarat in the driving seat. Welcome to Extreme. I know you were a championship driver last time out in Saudi. Now you're racing. How's it feeling?
No, it feels pretty good. I mean, this morning I woke up, had all of Scotland's birds outside my window, and waking up 5:30, all the whistling. It was a lucky thing because my phone was off, so I wouldn't have woken up otherwise. So that was a good thing. On track, it feels pretty good. It takes time to adjust into a new car, a new team, but luckily I've had a fully on Norwegian team here. It's pretty cool. This location is insane.
It is insane. And Hedda Hossas, your teammate, she's got a bit more experience than you. How much are you learning from her?
Yeah, I learn a bunch. I mean, I might be fast on the track, but, she is so quick at changing compared with me because I'm losing all my time there.
Oh, great stuff. Well, best of luck to you, Andreas. Enjoy and welcome properly to the Extreme E family. OK, next up, a team who had a really, really difficult time out in Saudi Arabia. I don't want to remind you, Roger, 3 rolls for Andretti, a lot of bad luck. I'm sure you'll be looking to bounce back very quickly here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it was a very frustrating start to our third season here in Extreme E. I got to the point of thinking I should be selling the space on the bottom of the car to some other sponsors. But no, I mean, really for us, we have to put Saudi behind us. And now here in Scotland, our season really starts. We had a good morning here. First out, I think it was pretty slippery for both drivers. I think what we also saw is maybe we got rid of the top layer, and as the other drivers went ahead of or before after us, we saw that the lap times improved. So unfortunately in FP2 we had a puncher, so we really didn't get to see the full potential. But no, good debrief with both drivers and happy with the way things are looking.
Great stuff. Yeah, the track is evolving quickly, isn't it? And a home race for Katie Munnings as well. Should be special.
Yeah,
thank you, Roger. Thanks so much. Now, you can also influence how the race plays out. Take a look at this. In the build-up to the final in each Extreme E X Prix, fans can show their support and vote for their favourite teams and drivers through grid play. The voting takes place via the Extreme E website. The team that collects the most votes gets first pick on their grid position in the grand final and will have the opportunity to massively influence the start of the race. But there is a twist. The teams that do not reach the grand final can donate their votes to any other team. With a strong start being key to a good X Prix result in Extreme E, grid play could make or break a team's chances of success. Which team will emerge as firm fan favourites?
Some pretty incredible drivers in this lineup for people to vote for as well. Andreas Backward on the left-hand side of your screen there, joining the JBXE squad. We've still got Matthias Ekstrom standing in for Carlos Sainz. It's world-class, this field.
You mentioned world-class. It's world champions. Do you know how many world champions are in this lineup? Those who are making an impression and a difference within motorsport. One of those drivers who came on strong in the scene is Fraser McConnell. He's one of those drivers that hasn't always been in motorsport, but he has done exactly what he needs to do. And being from Jamaica and being in Scotland, it's very, very different for him.
My name is Fraser McConnell and I race for X44 Vita Carbon Racing. My love of motorsport began riding motorbikes. We live on a farm, Orange Orchard, out in Jamaica. Both my brother and sister were, very much into horse equestrian and, jumping and cross country. Did 2 lessons of that and then realized pretty quickly that I didn't love being on a horseback and, then got onto a motorbike and, each lap around the house would be quicker and quicker and quicker. Eventually started racing and it started to get to a point where Mom and Dad said, enough of this. It's flying way too high in the air and, the crashes started to get a little dangerous. So they said if motorsport was going to continue, it had to be 4 wheels. So that's when we started go-karting. And for me, that's the best grassroots any driver can have is a go-karting career. Living on the farm, the rally had always passed by our house. So, being a little boy and, seeing these rally cars fly by the house, I'd always aspired to be, one of them. And one day, hopefully, if I'd ever raced, win Rally Jamaica. Winning Rally Jamaica in 2017, to this day, we're still the youngest to ever do that. And then our first championship that we won was 2019 ARX2, so that's a big one for me. Well, my Extreme E career started in Sardinia last year. Got a call from Mr. James Taylor asking if I'd like to be the championship reserve driver. I got the opportunity to be there before the race day's test, and then we went to Chile. I was the championship driver there again. And then Uruguay, I jumped in as the male driver for JBXE. An incredible experience, and you get your foot through the gate, so to say. Now, even when I think back to getting the call, I still get goosebumps. It's such a surreal feeling to finally get that call to professional drive. I can finally call myself a professional driver, thanks to X44 and Lewis. And I do have some big shoes to fill, with Seb stepping out. 9-time world champion, he's definitely the rally goat. The X44 is a lot about opportunity and giving people the chance to prove themselves. So this gives me the opportunity to compete at the highest level. My family are the biggest supporters in the world. I consider mom, dad, and my brother and my sister. We travel all over the world. We've gone to Cape Town, we've gone to all different parts of Europe and America. They've always been there for the ups and the downs, and it's really nice to have that support system. The support I get from Jamaica is incredible. Jamaica is a big motorsport culture, but not a lot of people race. It's an expensive sport, and a lot of people don't have the means to necessarily put together a car or a go-kart and go racing. But everyone is seeing what I've been able to do on the international stage with motorsport. Every time I win a race, there's recognition from the Prime Minister, Usain Bolt, Sean Paul. Anybody, a high-profile figure, is loving what I'm doing with the racing. I'm lucky enough to be representing them on the motorsport front.
Fraser McConnell becoming a legend in Jamaica. But there's other legends that are here and about Extreme E. One of those is a Scottish Olympic legend in cycling. Chris Hoy is making his appearance. He is someone who does love motorsports in addition to his wheels, his two wheels. And Laura had the chance to catch up with him yesterday.
Well, the absolute great and the good of Scottish sport are here, of course, at the Hydropower Prix. And who better than Sir Chris Hoy, 6-time Olympic champion, 11-time world champion on the bike, on two wheels, but here on four wheels, because I know you're a huge motorsport fan and a driver yourself.
Yeah, it's always been a bit of a hobby of mine. And then when I retired from cycling, started racing on the track, doing circuit racing. And it went from being a hobby to being an obsession. I've tried a little bit of rallying, a bit of rally cross. Racing historics, doing all sorts. Even Formula E had a shot in a couple of years ago, but this is my first time getting a go in an Extreme E car, so I'm very excited to be here.
I first saw you in a car at my first motorsport event, which was the Rallycross World Championships in Barcelona in 2019. You had a bit of bad luck there, but gave it a good go. This field is mighty, isn't it?
It is, and that was terrifying, because I had one day of testing at Pembury. It was part of a TV series. And then I found myself on the start line at practice next to, Timmy Hansen on one side, Nicholas Gronholm on the other, and it was straight in at the deep end, but an amazing experience. And I've always had a passion for off-road driving. Colin McRae was my hero, and he was the person that really got me interested in motorsport back in the mid-90s. So, yeah, I'm delighted that I get these opportunities. Always try and give it my best and make the most of the chance to drive an amazing machine like this.
And a word on the course, the stunning backdrop that we have here, and what it means to bring Extreme E to Scotland as well, Chris.
Well, I'm always delighted when we get massive sporting events in Scotland. I'm very proud to try and do what I can to help promote it. And you arrive here and you look across at this incredible setting. It really is stunning. I hope the TV can do it justice, because it's breathtaking. But to use this venue to have these incredibly steep banks to go up and down, it's like a roller coaster. You go over the top of the drop, and it's terrifying, but yeah, really exciting to drive, and yeah, I'm very delighted to be here.
Well, you're suited and booted. We'll let you get in the car in just a moment, but first, who is your money on this weekend?
I'd say Timmy Hansen and Katie. I think they've been pretty solid so far, but who knows? Who knows? It's always so close, and I guess it's going to be. You see how tight it is to get 5 cars into that first corner. The start is going to be crucial, as always, but yeah, Katie and Timmy.
There we go. You heard it here first. So Chris Hoy backing Andretti. Thank you very much, Chris.
Cheers.
A sport built for purpose, each of Extreme E's race locations are chosen carefully based on the story they tell about climate change. Whether it's racing by Greenland's melting glaciers or on Senegal's beaches, which are being affected by rising sea levels, the championship is hoping not only to show the issues facing these regions, but also the solutions out there.
Here in Scotland, the race site's backdrop is particularly poignant as the drivers are racing in an old disused open cast coal mine, which is the process of being turned into a hydropower plant.
We're here in Scotland racing with Extreme E this week, symbolically at the site of an old open cast coal mine, which is now being converted into a hydroelectric pumped storage scheme. Scotland has an abundance of renewable energy sources that it uses to create carbon-free power. But the difficulty with renewables is that they're intermittent. The sun might not be shining for the solar panels, wind might not be blowing for the wind turbines, and it's difficult then to balance the needs. A key problem with renewables then is the issue of storage and how you go about storing huge amounts of energy. When the wind blows too much or too hard, that power can't be transported to the grid. It makes sense then to store that energy if you can, and that's very difficult to do. Renewables have looked into all sorts of ways of doing this through batteries, and hydro is a key solution to that problem. Effectively, this entire site can be used as an energy storage system. The way the storage system works is that in periods of excess wind, where that excess energy can't be delivered to the grid, you can use that power to move the water from a lower lake to a higher lake. And then in periods of demand, when the wind might not be blowing, for instance, you can let that water down, and it comes down a pipe and spins through a generator to make electricity. Once completed, the scheme will power 289,000 homes. Getting off the fossil fuel carbon treadmill is essential to combat climate change. rolling out renewables at the pace that Scotland has sets an example to the rest of the world. The sector has grown more than 4 times since 2010. What's required is a change of mindset, political will, and the technology to get cracking with it. It's a great opportunity for Extreme E to be here to showcase this transition from old technology to the new future. And while this is symbolic of the transition that we need to make, it's brilliant that it's actually going to be producing electricity to so many homes through the UK. It's the sort of thing that we need to do more and more of, the opportunities that we need to take in the transition from the carbon economy into the new world.
Let's take a look then at the track here in Scotland. As we said, disused coal mine off the start up to turn 1. We think that's going to be pretty crucial. Some areas of this track are narrow. Me and Katie were looking at it yesterday. We think we spotted a few places where maybe you can pass and maybe you can be using the, a hyperdrive to gain a bit of time.
That was the conversation, Coley, which is it 1 or 2, 3, 4, 5? We don't know.
4 passing points we came up with yesterday. We might be being optimistic, but we think the drivers will be optimistic too. If there's a gap, they'll go for it.
Another thing that we are learning as is the first time here in Scotland are some of the words. Crag, meaning rocky hill. Knock, meaning hill pasture. And as our producer's mom would say, this is a Guydrick morning. Which
yes,
I'm not entirely
Katie.
sure what that means, but I'm going to go with it.
Practically an honorary Scot already. So apologies if you're Scottish and we're murdering it. Please do feel free to send us voice notes on Instagram of how to say it properly, which is my go-to for when I'm not sure. Water hazard down the bottom there. That puddle was actually out over the course during FP1, and you heard Roger from Andretti out to Keelit saying the course conditions have changed, so the puddle has been pushed out, but now there's mud further up the course. There's some dry bits. Yesterday we even saw some dust.
Well, and of course he was also saying that in FP2 they had a puncture. That could be due to the gravel, the changes of terrain. This is going to be an extremely challenging track, but if you're new to XC, it's all good. Here's a breakdown of how the series works.
Extreme E is a fully electric off-road racing championship consisting of 10 world-class teams made up of 1 male and 1 female driver. In each session, both drivers will compete behind the wheel of the Odyssey 21 electric SUV, with a driver changeover known as the switch halfway through. Each driver gets an Anoa hyperdrive boost in every session, and there are bonus points for the fastest team through the Continental Traction Challenge section of the course. First up, it's qualifying, where everybody races twice in a bid to finish as high as possible in the qualifying standings. Then it's time to earn some championship points. From qualifying, the bottom 5 teams go into the redemption race, while the top 5 proceed to the grand final and compete to win the Prix and lift the trophy. It's a season-long battle. 10 rounds, 1 champion.
It's still looking a bit... I was waiting for a shot. Basically, what we're hearing from race control is that actually conditions are looking more promising to go racing. That is the ball of fire in the sky, the sun, and hopefully that's going to burn the fog off. It can happen pretty quickly. There you go. So that's further up towards the top of the course. And, of course, down in the mine, it's a bit lower. It's a bit more shaded from the sun. We are hoping, we're confident, we're feeling pretty, there you go, that's where the puddle's been spread out in the muddy section.
You can see that there.
We are hopeful that we're going to go racing, but we're waiting. There you go, look at the start. That's looking 10 times
it's
better.
So much
earlier.
better.
The first shot
at that
they showed
visibility.
us was so pessimistic, wasn't it?
Yeah, look at you. Look
at this.
There's sunshine in Scotland, they said. Actually, earlier this week, Tanner was saying to me that it's raining and he feels it's going to rain till next February. But someone who might be good in these conditions is a Tanner Faust with McLaren.
Yeah.
And that's because he does have a pilot's license. He's very comfortable with being kind of disoriented in the sky, that visibility. And I think of someone who did spend some time in Scotland, this might be a good opportunity for him to really shine.
But yeah, he lived in Scotland for a while. Who knew that Tanner Faust, the Top Gear presenting stunt driving legend, lived in Scotland for a while? So Laura Winter is, as always, proud. Weather report from her. So Laura, down in the paddock.
Oh, thank you, and welcome to beautiful Scotland, where the weather, as you say, is very much playing its part this morning. We have heavy fog that has just sunk in overnight. We're currently sitting in the middle of a cloud here in the beautiful Hydro Prix Paddock, and I'm joined by Laia Sanz of the Acciona Science team. We have a delay to racing, current start time at 8 a.m, but being reviewed every 15 minutes, as I say, as the fog just sits in here. It is lifting, the sun is burning it away. Laia, when you woke up this morning, did you expect to see conditions like this?
No, we wake up very early, and no, we arrived here, and it was bad, the fog, so we have to wait until we can race with safety.
You guys are absolute top pros. I'm sure you're used to changing conditions like this. Does it affect anything in terms of how you prepare?
No, we just wait, and we cannot wait to start, and I think it's the same thing. Yeah, a little bit more tension maybe because we need to wait more, but that's it.
Winners, first-time winners, last time out as well. The confidence coming into this round must be growing and growing.
Yeah, I think we saw that we can do it. Last year we were very close many times, but you know, this year the level is so high and it's so tough to get to the final, I think. So we need to be really focused on first quali because it's so important for the second one. And then let's see if we can get to the final, and there everything can happen.
Thank you very much, Laia. Best of luck to you. Fingers crossed we're going to go racing very soon, thanks to Laia. Well, as Scottish poet Robbie Byrne said, there is no such uncertainty as a sure thing. I'm going to join now. Fraz, I saw you looking over the paddock, trying to peek at the start line. Of course, it just drops right off there. What are you thinking about these conditions? Not, I guess, like you'd get in Jamaica.
Well, you'd be surprised. I live in the country in Jamaica, so I wake up to fog every morning, but not quite this thick. I was trying to look down to the starting line to see, you know, what the grid was going to look like, but you can't even see the overhead trussing or nothing. So you're going to see the lights piercing through the fog down by the command center, but that's about it.
It is a bit cold, isn't it? It's about 7 degrees so far this morning. That sunshine just suddenly got brighter, and I think we are going to go racing. What's the mindset for X44 coming into this one after last time out in Saudi?
Take the start and then one step at a time. We believe in my abilities and Christina as well, so I'm going to go out there and do what we know how to do best.
Thank you very much indeed. Best of luck to you, Fraz.
Well, when Fraz says take the start, what he means there is they want to win the start, because we know that's critical anyway. There is the start. So slot number 5 is on the right-hand side. We're looking to the rear of the cars. They're up towards turn 1. Turn 1 is it's a wide open 90, but it funnels down then into a narrow section. There's the finish, and that steep drop in the background is unbelievably steep.
Absolutely, and I think taking the start, as we know in Extreme in any race series, is extremely important, if you will. But here, as it does narrow, that is an interesting tactic. But the problem is, if you have 5 teams lining up, every single team are going to be interested in taking the start.
It's a pretty similar start to Saudi Arabia in the way it came down to a 90 right, and what we saw there was tactics of people backing off from the outside of the grid, hoping the guys on the inside ran deep, and then they'd be able to get up the inside line on the exit. So we saw some brilliant racing in Saudi Arabia. We've got some great racing lined up here in Scotland. We're hopeful that we're going to be able to go racing soon. In the meantime, have a look back at the final from round 1 in Neom.
Matthias Ekstrom for Acciona Sites in the middle position there in P3. Then we've got Kevin Hansen for Veloce Racing and Johan Kristoffersen for RXR.
Well, the first start of the redemption race was carnage. Let's see if these guys get away better. McConnell there staring at the lights. Hammer down now, release the handbrake and release all that horsepower down towards turn 1 on the inside line. It's a great start for RJ Anderson, backs the car in, runs Matthias Ekstrom out wide. Ekstrom takes that long line. In the background, watch out here for Johan Kristoffersen. The RXR machine, he's passed 3 cars already. Going to try and take the McConnell line around the outside. RXR outside, inside line for Veloce. Rear end of Fraser McConnell kicks up super high. It is RXR who lead from the outside of the grid. That is a Kristoffersen special, copying the move of Fraser McConnell earlier on today. Goes from outside to inside and gets the whole shot. That's outstanding.
Wow, what a phenomenal start. Huge congratulations to RXR. The strategy there that Johan Kristoffersen played was absolute perfection. Now he just has to defend his position from Veloce Racing. They're not going to make it easy for him.
No, they're not. Visibility is not too bad. Here you are with Kevin, look, gritting his teeth. full concentration, full lock through the right-hander. Anybody got an Noah hyperdrive left for this straight to see if they can make a pass? The pack is so close together. I reckon they've all used it off the start, looking at this. Oh, Kristoffersen gets a little bit sideways, drops the car down now onto the smooth sand. They are really flirting with that water. We saw all the cars getting sucked in there this morning, including that one, the Acciona Science that Ekstrom's at the wheel of. That took a trip into the Red Sea with Laya Sands this morning. Kristoffersen through the right-hander, Kevin Hansen in behind. They bump up through this section. It could not be closer.
Unbelievable. I mean, who would have thought that Anderson, who actually we thought had the advantage, being on the left-hand side at the start of the race, is actually disadvantaged and is right at the back and is going to have to somehow claw his way up to the front of that grid.
He got to turn one first as well, Nicky. That's the thing. He was in the lead in turn one, and Kristoffersen was right at the back, but he took that line that we saw work this morning. Just goes to show you as well, when people say, oh, you can't win from P5 on the grid, yes, you can. And we saw McConnell came from P3 earlier on yesterday. We got a whole day of racing again to go tomorrow. So, you know, we tell the drivers less moaning about grid position, get on with it.
You read my mind,
yeah.
Exactly. Yes, Kristoffersen has just shown it can be done. So stop complaining. But brilliant start for Rosberg X Racing here today. The first race in Neom.
And Hansen sideways on the landing there, wasn't he? Look at Ekstrom, he's so close behind the blockchain machine, and Fraser McConnell's in there as well. The gaps at the minute, there's a 2.9 gap between P4 and P5, the X44 Vita Carbon and the GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing. But at the front, the gap is 1.4 across the top three, only 0.7 between first and second place of Rosberg X Racing and Veloce. So wide open, this could well come down to the driver switch and then the second drivers as well. How close is this for round one? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So close. But of course, they're going to have in the back of their mind, you've got to be careful, because we saw it all unfold in the earlier race, in the redemption race. Cars spinning, particularly on those grass verges. So all it takes is taking the wrong line, and we can see mistakes happen so easily here. So no doubt they're not going to be putting all of their cards on the table at the moment.
Hummer EV off to the side of the track, so if that was a mistake or a broken car, but RJ Anderson is parked at the side of the road. They were in P5 anyway. He looks okay, his belts are off, he's going to climb out and get himself somewhere safe, push the car into neutral. Meanwhile, out front, where has Ekstrom gone? The science machines drop back. So the site 2.7 seconds. I don't know what's happened to Matthias. Kevin Hansen is still right there. Look at them dipping the left wheels in the water, trying to find the smooth sand and the extra traction. They're going to come in really close. We've got a yellow flag situation somewhere out on track, so we'll have a slow zone, it's saying at waypoint 17. That's just popped up on our time screen. There is Ekstrom. He's only 3 seconds back, but he was right on the back of these two, so maybe a mistake has been somewhere while we were looking at RJ Anderson parked up. Kristoffersen's keeping the door shut, isn't he? He knows what he's doing, but Kevin Hansen's raced him so many times. He's still right in the mix, so just a tiny little mistake has cost him a couple of seconds.
Oh, it's such a shame. Also, as they're so bunched up, you can see the sand really still causing a few visibility issues, but of course you've got the lights on the back of the car to help them see the car ahead. So hopefully nothing too dramatic, but it's always going to make it more of a challenge.
It is indeed. You want to be in that P1 position. Interesting, isn't it, that Kristoffersen can't really break away. You'd think if it was enough of an advantage, he'd be able to break away. So late on the brakes. Now he puts on the switch zone speed limiter, and there's Anderson. He's parked right next to the jump. This jump's not going to be comfortable like that, because you want to go over it flat out and land the car flat. Drive it. You could see, in fact, Kevin Hansen moved across to the side to try and find somewhere, you know, lower to drop it off the crest. So, okay. Good job it's not a great big gap jump. You wouldn't be able to make it with the pit lane speed limiter on, so yeah. Okay, into the switch zone then. So coming in, what are the gaps as they come in? It's 3.1 seconds between Rosberg X Racing and Veloce. And then coming back to Ekstrom. Ekstrom looks like he's a fair way back. Here's the start again. Look at RJ Anderson on the inside. Got this done in his head. Watch Johan though. Look how early Johan's turning it on the outside. Fraser McConnell goes for the same line, but Fraz is too deep in the pack. So on the inside line, look, and then Kevin Hansen, look, he's thinking, hello, thank you very much, up the inside of Ekstrom. Meanwhile, Kristoffersen's come all the way round the outside, and then Fraz gets a bad bounce and has to pull it back into to avoid hitting the waypoint. So it all happened there, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. I'm just glad to see all 5 cars got away cleanly.
On board the Hummer this is, so that's, yeah, you can see the visibility. So he rolls. So Anderson is unsighted by the dirt. He pulled out of the roost to try and see where he was going. Right, and this is Fraser McConnell. So on board with Fraz. Steering is extremely heavy. I think his power steering is gone. Do you see? He can barely turn the wheel. So it looks like the X44 machine has retired as well. He has. So Fraser McConnell's gone too. Okay, we're going to have a chat with Johan Kristoffersson as you see the cars heading out for their second 2 laps.
Johan Kristoffersson from the outside line, grid position 1. One I know you didn't want. You have just got to the front of this race, out in front, put Michaela in the best possible position to bring it home. Talk me through it.
Yeah, I tried to. I had a plan on the start, and it did work out. It's very difficult when you turn into T1 because so much dust. But anyway, from there on, I tried to be safe, open up a little bit of gap in the end, and then yeah, hopefully Michaela can bring this home. But it's going to be tricky because Molly is fast and the track is very rough, so it's easy to make a mistake.
But it's all gone your way so far. We'll see. Thanks so much. Good luck.
I always want to hear from Johan Kristoffersson. What a great start from him. It's going to be Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski who is going to be stepping into the driving seat now.
You know what I'm loving about this? So remember, Arlen-Kotlinski replaced Taylor in this squad, and it's Molly Taylor who's chasing her in the Veloce machine. So Molly Taylor will want to get past. She'd love to. Yeah, there's no malice between them, but still, you know, you always want to show, look, I'm the quickest. I can get this done. Taylor is closing the gap down. It was 3 seconds. It's 1.5 now. They've all got their Inoa hyperdrive. They won't use it until they're a little way down the straight, if they use it at all. Let's see if either of them tries. I don't think Taylor will do it this lap because she's not quite close enough. So she'll do a whole nother lap and see if she can use it on the last lap to pass. And likewise, Arlen-Kotlinski's hanging on to it to defend from that move.
Yeah, but you know where they're going to want to pass? Up here on the right-hand side, and we know what incidences have been going on there.
Don't do it there.
Stay well clear of it.
Don't do it there. So you saw Fraser McConnell bringing the X44 Vita carbon machine back, so it's still operational, but just not with a race face on. Still got the yellow flag. Remember, that's for the little drop-down jump at waypoint 17 where the Chip Ganassi racing machine is parked. Here's the flags, which are giving you an idea of how scattered out bottom right of your screen where the different cars are. How far back is Laya Sands? She's 14 seconds back, so something happened to them on the way into the switch because the gap was big on the way in. I don't know exactly what it was. Taylor now all over the back here of Arlen-Kotlinski.
Between them.
Trying to find a way through.
Really closing in on the RXR car. The Veloce team looking to really show, well, bring performance to this season, I think.
Okay, so that's... Okay, Taylor's, for some reason, Taylor looked to me like she ran wide. Where's the RXR going? Why did she miss the waypoint? Because it's the step-down jump, unless they've had permission to do that. Okay, this it's going to go at the stewards 100%. So, okay, pick this apart. Molly Taylor looked like she ran what they have had permission. They've had permission to miss that jump. We've just heard from race control, so there won't be a penalty for that. Taylor ran wide, and she then used her hyperdrive to try and gain the time again, but that was on the way into the slow zone. So she's then had to kill it straight away. So she's lost what I think was her best chance of overtaking on the straight. She gets sideways on the landing. So that's advantage RXR.
So how does that happen? So she just wasn't given the information that there was a slow zone coming up, or why would you use it then?
I think just because she'd ran wide, or I don't know if she went the wrong way in the dust. You know, if you lose too much time, the best way to gain it back immediately is to use the hyperdrive, go full power just for that 4 seconds, close the gap back down. But unfortunately, you know, going into a slow zone, you then cut it straight away and lost the 4 seconds of power. So once you cut it, that's it, it's gone. You can't use it again later on.
Oh, well, that is a shame for Molly Taylor there. But RXR, World Leg X Racing, do a phenomenal job with Michaela up front at the moment. Nearly 7 seconds ahead of Molly Taylor of Veloce Racing.
Yeah, that's a big old gap now. They'll be on the radio to Arlen-Kotlinski and just saying, you know what, you can chill a bit. You've got a bit of space. Here she uses the Inoa hyperdrive. That's exactly where I thought she would use it. I thought she'd have to use it to defend from Taylor, who would be doing the same thing. But Taylor's used it earlier on in the lap, and unfortunately, they're not going to be able to find a way past now.
So pulling away here as much as possible. Other than having more of a time cushion, is there any advantage of being further ahead?
No, not at this point.
No extra points.
At this point, you obviously, you know what it's like. Anything can happen. You don't want, we don't want to tempt fate. But things like tyres coming off rims, little technicals with the car. Clearly, the bigger the gap you've got, the better chance you've got getting it over the line ahead if something's gone wrong. But yeah. should be a done deal, but let's not give them the commentator's curse just yet. About a third of a lap to go. Well, coming up then on to the last few crests. Kristoffersen and Arlen Kotlinski didn't have the easiest of starts to this weekend to date. Just a few little issues, caught in traffic in Q1. In Q2, you saw how pumped Johan Kristoffersen was because he knew he'd done enough of a job to get them up into the final over that crest jump towards the end of the lap. Coming around now, just a couple of corners to go. They won the first round in Saudi last year. They've won 5 of the 10 events in Extreme E in the history of this series. And with just a couple of corners to go, coming up towards the finish line jump, on board that car is Michaela Arlen Kotlinski for RXR. Over the finish line, they take the win in round 1 of 2023 Extreme E. Brilliant fight back after an amazing pass by Kristoffersen in the run to turn 2. P2 goes to Hansen and Taylor for Veloce. And it'll be Ekstrom and Sands in P3. I think we may have heard a swear there, so apologies. Emotions running high. Over the line for Acciona Sainz. She said, I think she said I had the wrong slow zone. So I think she was braking for the wrong slow zone, then realised, gunned it and got back on the power. Didn't see what happened to Ekstrom and Sands, but they dropped back just a little bit, and that put them out of the fight. But could have been super close, but it's pretty much business as usual for RXR. Missed the title by the tiniest of amounts last year. They win round 1 this year. Arlen Kotlinski and Johan Kristoffersen. Fantastic performance by them.
Yeah, and this is where it really counts, isn't it? You want to start the season so you can continue that momentum. What they will have learned today was absolutely invaluable, as we heard from Tanner Faust earlier. He said just the day and a half of being on the track here, they've learned so much coming into season 3, and being the winners of today is going to be so useful. Interesting that, Ganassi, X44, who were winners of the first qualifying.
Yeah, they were. Yeah,
heats.
Didn't go their way in that. Yeah, I think what today has reminded us, if you'd forgotten in the couple of short months since the end of last season, is anything can happen in this series. We've seen cars rolling over the top of each other, cars rolling on their own. We've seen contact in the first corners. We've seen championship favourites struggle in qualifying and then come from P5 on the grid to get the whole shot. We've seen new drivers putting in some incredible pace. Yeah, I mean, it's been great, hasn't it, for a round 1? Yes, the finals weren't quite as close as we thought they might be. They were right up until the very last lap, and then just that little gap after the mistake on which was the slow zone area for Taylor. They'll be disappointed with that, but I think, as you said earlier on, Nikki, the fact we get to go again tomorrow is pretty cool.
So what do you think the key to winning today's race was? The start of the race for Johan Kristoffersen?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was... Yes, I mean, that's where he won it, without a shadow of a doubt. It was a brilliant move. You saw Fraser McConnell was trying to do the same thing. Interestingly, Kevin Hansen's move for Veloce around the outside, which would have put him inside in turn 2, would have been enough in most other cases, but with Kristoffersen coming in on what we've called the McConnell line, it used to be the Loeb line. It always used to be Loeb that found the line, so it's pretty fitting that Fraser McConnell found it this time, having replaced Sebastian Loeb. But definitely the start. Also interesting, you know what you said about Tanner earlier on? He just said, look, this is about consistency in qualifying. You have to get to the grand final. There's no way back up like there was last year. You can fight your way through. Got to be in the final to stand a chance to win it. So I think, look, for people measuring their risk a little bit more in qualifying, and then risk it for the biscuit when you get to the final.
So the McConnell line, are we going to see more drivers going for that tomorrow?
100%, because they're all going to look at what Fraser did in Q1 and then what Johan did in the final. It's a no-brainer if you're not on the inside. What the interesting thing for me is, if you are on the inside, you kind of need to nail it on and make them go around the outside. But then look what Kevin Hansen did. That puts them inside there. So it's wide open.
It's not guaranteed.
Not at all.
But it definitely keeps things interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, we're getting a race control decision on RXR. What about? Oh. 136-second penalty for car 6. Slow zone speeding.
Disaster.
Gone on the gas too early, and that's going to hand the win then to Molly Taylor and Kevin Hansen for Veloce. Oh, the podium as well. No way.
So that means that...
yes, Veloce P1, Acciona Sainz
have moved into P2. Yes, thank you.
Okay. like that. I know that the team can appeal if they want to, but they're in P3. It's still a podium. It's not a disaster with 9 rounds to go, but they just won, and they, you know, we'll be feeling a little bit aggrieved about last year and some of the incidents that happened there. They just missed the title. I'd love to see a shot of them now. Molly Taylor.
Who's going to be telling them?
Yeah, good shout. Who is going to be telling them? Who is going to be telling them?
I hope it's not Laura.
Molly gets her cap, headed to the top step of the podium. Fantastic stuff. So it is Veloce that take the win after a penalty for RXR. Drama. So now we're going to hear the P3 interview. This is with RXR, who literally 2 minutes ago thought they were on the top step of the podium.
Well, Michaela, I can see it written all over your face, the disappointment. Over the line first, but it is third. Talk me through what has happened. We're hearing a 136-second penalty here for speeding.
Yeah, a little bit of miscommunication. I thought it was 18 and not 17. So when I got there and I saw the flashing yellow, you know, it's too late. So it's a disappointment, but I mean, in the end, Johan did an amazing start. That was really great. And yeah, sorry about that thing, but we take a P3 and it's a new day tomorrow.
It is a new day tomorrow. You have a second chance, Johan. And look, it shows that while this morning started with you guys, you know, not in contention, you came straight through to contention with that brilliant start.
Yeah, I mean, the day wasn't the best until after waypoint 1 in the final, really. So, I mean, in the end, standing here with P3, of course, is a relief in the end because it could have been so much worse. The racing is really tough, and especially when it's, you know, 2 out of 3 starts of the weekend with that important start position. It's a lottery or whatever. So, of course, that's very important to get those points, and we look forward for tomorrow.
Well, I'm sorry for the result today, but it is P3, as you say. Enjoy the podium. Thank you.
Not sure they'll be enjoying the podium quite as much as they would have been 3-4 minutes ago. It is gutting for them. Interesting, Nikki, about the miscommunication about the gates.
So difficult, isn't it? You think, how can there be, you come into the race thinking, surely they know that information, but there is so much going on. There's so much for them to consume.
It was way too late. In the background, Taylor was locked up, and if you remember, Taylor had gone a gate early. She went on 16. We're going to catch up with Acciona Sainz. Let's go and have a P2.
Well, Matthias and Leia are here just debriefing the race in front of us. Leia, just sum it up for us. P2, but I know you want more.
Yeah, of course. I think we have the pace to try to win races. Of course, it's not a bad result. It's a long championship, so it's a good way to start. But I think we can win this year.
Well, congratulations, Matthias. We are running out of time, so congratulations, but we'll speak to you a little bit afterwards. OK, enjoy the podium for now. A thumbs up is enough. Thank you.
Sending them off to the podium quickly. Going to get that done swiftly. I think we'll have to have a chat with Matthias later.
Yeah, he was smiling. I wonder why. No, he was looking very happy with that result.
Couldn't pick a winner for tomorrow. I really couldn't. You know, if you look at the pace of the different teams, yes, RXR were brilliant in the final today and arguably a bit unlucky, but there are a bunch of teams. You know, top qualifier, Acciona Sainz, yeah, loads of opportunities for different winners tomorrow.
Kevin Hansen just stood in front of me and said, so what, we've won, have we? Yes, Kevin, you have won. I know, I'm sure you're delighted. Just sum it up, because that was probably a roller coaster of emotions.
Oh, it was such a great turn one. We pulled off the great strategy there, and I was following Johan for all the run and handed over quite okay position to Molly, and she did an amazing job. So, I mean, to get a win, no matter how you get a win, it's a great win. So we're so Veloce on ourselves.
Molly, a win, first one in season 3. You get to do it again tomorrow.
Yeah, it's awesome having 2 chances every weekend. So, yeah, today went really, really well. But for sure, you know, we've got a big day on tomorrow. But we'll take all the positives from today. And it's just been, yeah, such a great week so far with the team and Kevin. And, yeah, we're really happy.
Brilliant stuff. Enjoy the podium. Let's go.
Well, some very happy faces there. Very different side to the story, of course, in the RXR garage. But
Okay, the fog is clearing, definitely. The sun's up there. We are hearing from race control that we are going racing, Katie, so that's a good thing, because there was not a lot to talk about if we don't.
Yeah, we can find something to talk about, Coley. In fact, as we saw Timmy Hansen coming over after Saudi Arabia, very happy. He too was also happy after practice yesterday with the fact that they led both practices over here in Scotland. So for them, they kind of wanted it as is. They want to get racing.
It is so amazing to be back in Greenland. I've been walking around the course trying to piece it all together because it looks so different without the event set up and without the flags. We won Greenland's first international sporting event here. Me and Timmy and the whole team, we were so buzzing for that because it was our first Extreme E win. We won!
Yeah, we won it.
So now to be back here and to remember the atmosphere, it really brings back that sense of like achievement and feeling.
I remember watching this race 2 years ago and I was really like itching to get behind the wheel because it just looked so much fun. Like it looked like this track that just have every aspect of a good Extreme track.
So this is the racetrack. It was a really tough track actually. I think it was really hard on the cars. This feature here actually was probably the hardest because it was at the end of the lap. It was really close and this is where the last point was to try and make an overtake move, I guess.
Yeah, I remember watching the race and just see the cars going over these rocks. Yeah. It was absolutely mental. Like these ones, like, yeah, how?
I remember on the track walk thinking like, I'm actually not sure I know how to drive over that without breaking the car. Today we are at a technology centre, which system is based around. We've got a load of students coming in and we're designing a track. We've got quite a small space, so we're trying to be quite creative. We've done a couple of hairpins, then we've got a bit of a loop in the middle. It'll be really cool to meet some local students here and hopefully have some fun on track. Woo! Well done! Woo!
So Sisimiut as a city is known for its technology. It has Greenland's Tech College here. This is where the future engineers will be made, right here in this hall. And technology is crucial for the future.
We've been trying to explain the bigger message behind Extreme E and behind racing, that it's not just an individual sport. There's a teamwork aspect, you know, we need engineers, we need mechanics.
So there are a bunch of different jobs that you can get into during the motorsport event.
We've been trying to show them what goes into building a race championship and a successful team. And we've also been highlighting how our sport looks at climate and how we work with legacy programs in lots of different countries. So I think that was new to them. I don't think they'd seen that in motorsport before, so it was really nice to try and explain that to them a bit.
It was also so fun to see all the young girls, you know, coming forward, wanted to drive as well, and we had some chats afterwards, and it was super nice to see their interest in motorsport. It is a male-dominated sport still, but hopefully in the future we can bring that to more of an equal level.
What we'd like to be able to see over time is that we're inspiring, you know, young people, young women hopefully, to take up careers in engineering. So who knows, they could turn into e-mobility mechanics, they could turn into renewable energy experts, they might even turn into conservationists. And I think it's when the kids are at this age, it's a critical time to excite and entice them and hopefully inspire them.
Well, good news, Extreme E friends. We are going racing. You just heard from Race Control. Coley, the sky is lifting, the sun is coming out, and it is going to be a great day in Scotland.
Certainly is. Q1, Heat 1 coming up. Look, round 3, the Hydropower Prix double header, of course, this weekend. So 2 sets of points up for grabs for all these drivers and teams. We're going to head down to Laura Winter, who's in the paddock with one of said teams. Be very interested to hear their thoughts on a tricky track condition.
Here we are, start line behind us. As you can see, the fog is beginning to lift. What are your thoughts on conditions this morning?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, it's been really foggy. It's such bad luck because it's, you know, we've had lovely mornings here so far. But I think it's lifting, as you say. It's going to be low visibility on track. You know, that it's already wet. When the mud splashes from the cars with the fog, I think it's going to be really difficult to see. But same for everyone, so we'll see how we can do.
Home race for you as well, of course. The very best of British weather, isn't it? As you came down, you looked very relaxed, listening to Sam Ryder, weren't you? I said I'd give you a shout out for that on air. How is the mindset coming into this one after a really tricky weekend last time out?
Yeah, I mean, we have to approach everything like a clean slate, you know, goldfish memory on it and just do our best to figure out where we are and where we can improve. And it's the same process every race. no matter what's happened. And I think it's really important to remember that and have that clean slate approach.
And of course, you were out there yesterday on the course, albeit, as I say, in different conditions. What are your thoughts on it? Where are the opportunities, pitfalls, the challenges?
I think it's a complicated track. It's fun, you know. It's a lot of up and down. It's quite narrow in some places, so I'm not sure what overtaking is going to be like. I guess we're going to learn a lot in the first couple of laps that the boys are going to go and do, so I'm keen to watch it.
Yeah, absolutely. And where...
You know, you can't rule any teams out, especially with side-by-side racing like this. If it's slippery conditions, all it takes is a mistake of grip judgment in some of the slippery grass sections, and it would be so easy. You know, we're not talking about losing tenths when you slip on this kind of mud. You are losing seconds. So I think there could be a lot of switching positions around if it is slippier than we think. But of course, because of the fog, we can't actually see the track at the minute. So it's going to be very last-minute decisions for all of us, I think.
A lot of unknowns out there. I'll let you go and get ready. Thanks so much, Katie.
Yeah, so reset for Katie and Timmy after a pretty tough first weekend.
I'd say it was pretty tough for them. I really liked what she said about a clean slate, a goldfish mindset, really.
Yeah.
But you want to talk about the weather, Coley, and this is one of those that it really is an even playing field. Not only have the teams not ever been here to Scotland and race on this track, of course, we got practice in yesterday, but with the fog and the conditions, and this is going to be something where all of these drivers are going to be lining up with a clean notebook, not really knowing what to expect.
Yeah, we get that, don't we? Every Extreme E weekend is what I like, is even when we go back to Sardinia, it's not the same track it was last year. Yes, you'll have data as a team if you've been there and raced on the surface before, but this is a new venue, you know, brand new track. Nobody's got anything other than those 2 free practice sessions, and with the way the track's developed, this bit not so much, but there are other bits which have really scrubbed clean or have become more muddy or less muddy, and then overnight we've now got a lot of dampness in the air, so grip is going to be very different, I think, than it was yesterday. And as Katie said, one little mistake in a braking zone and that's going to open the door. So yes, it's narrow, but you apply the pressure, make the driver in front drive on their mirrors, and hopefully they make a mistake.
One of the things I think, too, you're talking about the grip, but we also have the changing conditions within the ground. We have gravel. We're going to have the tires that are going to try and manage the dirt, the ruts, the holes, the wetness. It is going to be really fascinating to see what comes together.
So another big part of the course, of course, is the Continental Traction Challenge. So if you've never seen this before, we've got a little explainer for you.
The Continental Traction Challenge is a designated section of the course where the teams can earn critical championship points by setting the fastest time through this sector in each round of the series. True to Extreme E's gender equal split in the driver lineups, the winner of the Continental Traction Challenge is the team with the fastest combined time of both male and female drivers.
X44 Vida Carbon Racing have nicked the Continental Traction Challenge.
Well done, Chris. Great race. That was amazing.
Drivers can post a time in any competitive session of the Prix, and the winning team will be awarded 2 championship points. With fierce competition in Extreme E's Paddock for Season 3 and a total of 20 points up for grabs across the 10 races, the Continental Traction Challenge is critical to any team's title aspirations.
X44, Vida Carbon Racing, they have the Continental Traction Challenge. That could prove crucial for this championship.
Coley, one of the things that I really appreciate about this Scotland race is the fact this is a home race. Katie Munnings just mentioned it's a home race for her. For Extreme E as a whole, being back in the UK representing, it's a big deal this weekend for some people.
Yeah, it is. This is where the series started, you know, where the Santa Elena came from, where it set sail from. So it's kind of, it's where it all began. That's the finish line with the steep run down from the back of it. We're going to take another look at our lovely virtual map, try and bring you up to speed with just where the course goes. And also we can take a look at where the Continental Traction Challenge is on it. So off the start, we head down towards that 90 right. That's also, you can actually gun it out of the switch zone as well. Once you exit the start, Katie, it gets pretty narrow, and the Traction Challenge is really steep uphill. And we were talking yesterday about maybe tactics in there.
Yeah, that might be a good place for people to try and do the hyperdrive. This may be, but again, that's the big question. We just heard Katie Munnings talk about this. People don't know where the passing zones are, but they do know that it is a very narrow track, which will make it very difficult.
Yeah, which is why I'm expecting most of these drivers to use the a hyperdrive off the start. I think it will be the second driver in the car Well, it depends, you see.
I look forward to having this conversation a little later to see
this is my favourite,
this is...
yeah. So at this point, we're like, oh, what if this happens? And actually then you find out later whether we're rubbish or not. And they may have an idea where they can make a pass, and we've already said it's pretty narrow, so if there's somewhere where the hyperdrive will make a difference to the pass, they may save it for that. That top wide section could be one. But if you're looking to win the Continental Traction Challenge, I think each of your drivers at some point is going to need to use the hyperdrive in that section.
And if you're just joining us to Extreme, winning the Traction Challenge, the Continental Traction Challenge, is extremely important because it's those extra precious points.
Yeah.
It's combined between the two male and female drivers, and the best out of those two win. And they get those points. We want them for the championship, and that's what these drivers are after.
This championship's been won on countback before, equal finishes and on how many people have. Oh wow, okay. Well, unfortunately, we've got breaking news from on site. They've decided that it's not clear enough, and we're not going racing. That is a great shame. But
it is a great shame, but you sit there and you say safety first.
Yeah.
We want these drivers to be able to compete a little later on today, and that is a disappointment. I mean, Coley, you and I can hang out all day long.
We can.
But it is very...
Poor you, Katie, flying all the way from the USA, and now you just get to spend 2 hours listening to my drivel. But there we go. We'll be with you for a little while anyway. That's a real shame. Looking at the conditions, I really felt that we were going to go, and that's look, race control told us we were. They said we were going to go hopefully at 8 a.m. local time, and unfortunately.
But what does this do? What does this do for strategy, and how can this actually be a positive for some of these drivers?
I think what it's going to be, we've never had this before, never had a session cancelled. So we changed the format before and gone one car at a time, as we used to, in previous seasons. First season was both sessions were one car at a time. The second season, just the first session. We've never had to cancel a session. That's the way it goes. We're out in the wilds of Scotland, and unfortunately, so they've decided it could be anything. Just so you guys know, it can be visibility. It can be, can we get a medical helicopter in and out in the case of an evacuation?
Yeah.
If you can't do that, it's the same with the Grand Prix or whatever other motorsport you like. Those are often the reasons that it goes.
I think that there's a plus here. The plus for the teams, Coley. Last weekend,
less cleaning, Kate.
less wiping down. But I do think realistically, you talk about Andretti and what happens in rounds 1 and 2 and how difficult it was to get that car turned back around to be ready for some racing on round 2 for them. This being a doubleheader, this eliminates one other component. It's looking for the sun within the cloud. You know what I mean? You see what I'm doing here?
Yeah, I do.
But it's one less session that these teams and drivers have to really worry about.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed. It's a little bit less carnage on the cars, isn't it? But that's the section of the track. So it's very foggy up at that bit. We can see. Look, it's an extreme course. There's big drops, and we have to err on the side of caution. So, unfortunately, the session's been cancelled, but the remainder of their course will go ahead.
I'm a bit of a dreamer, and I've always been. I want to see how good I can become, but also I've really been drawn to almost impossible challenges. Behind the wheel and the sensation of driving, when you get it right, it's fantastic. Nothing else exists. It's almost like you don't exist. It's just the track and the car. Like that's it. That you're on the limit, you're pushing yourself. That's a fantastic feeling. I'm Timmy Hansen. I drive for Andretti Altakil at Extreme E. Obviously, growing up, we went to rallycross races everywhere. For me, it was normal. For me, it was just how life was. I didn't have very many friends at school and stuff. My friends were all out at the races. That's where really my good life was. My father is a 14-time European champion in rallycross, so he has the most titles out of any driver in history. And my mom is also a European champion. She's the only woman who has won an international rallycross series against all the boys. So we definitely come from motorsport heritage. Me and my brothers, and now me and Kevin are racing together in rallycross, but against each other in Extreme E. It's so easy to crash in Extreme E. There's been so many accidents because off-road racing has never been about taking it to the absolute limit. It's been like Dakar, it's been endurance, it's been, take care of your car. But Extreme E being on a track and everyone being so fast, we very quickly get to a level where people are setting incredible times and you just have to risk more and go faster over these bumps and faster over the jumps, faster through the turns, and take more risk. But I guess that's part of the fun. Extreme E, I think, is doing sport and racing in an extremely modern way. It's carbon neutral. It's the first time that it's ever been completely equal between male and female behind the wheel. And it's been so interesting to me to hear what Katie has had to bring to the table. She's super fast now. If we would be able to win together, that would be, you know, a whole different level. And that's something that I really want to do.
Brilliant job to Katie. Fantastic.
Extreme E has taken us to all the corners of the world and still bringing us to new places. We get right into an area that's already damaged by climate change. So what Extreme E is doing is bringing awareness to these problems and trying to help the local environment, but also, you know, bringing awareness to what we can do as human beings to help the planet. That's a legacy that our generation is leaving to the next generation. Definitely having a son is affecting the way I race and why I race and why I do what I do. I want to leave the best possible world for him. I very proudly go and do Extreme E and race there because it's a good thing for the world.
Scotland round 3 looks a little like this. It's not quite the racing that we expected yet, but above that fog, you can see there is a blue sky, Coley.
Yeah, and look at that beautiful backdrop as well. You know, we've got the turbines up there, like everything. This is a huge box ticker, this one. I love the venue. You know, disused coal mine that's being turned into a hydro plant. It's clever stuff. If you've not seen it, there's a bunch of stuff about it on social, and we'll have some in the show as well, I'm sure. But unfortunately, the session is cancelled due to fog. It will clear for later. Laura's got somebody for us down in the paddock.
Thanks very much. I'm joined by Johan Kristoffersson, Clara Andersson and Matthias Ekström, the drivers all dotted about the paddock. I guess just reacting to the news that this session has been cancelled. We now have one shot at qualifying to make it through, Johan. How does that change things?
No, I think not so much. You just have to try and do your best and, hopefully have a good qualifying. I mean, it takes away all the possibilities of making a recovery after a mistake. So, but yeah, Q1, Q2 is also, you need to have 2 solid heats to go through. But we just have to try and do our best.
Great stuff. Clara, for you, your reaction to the news it's been cancelled and the weather that we all woke up to this morning as well. I guess the very best of British, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still a bit sleepy, but it's quite foggy up there. But as Johan said, you know, we just need to do our best. It's going to be a war out there, but no mistakes, and hopefully we'll make it to the final.
And Matthias, I know it was a tricky day for Acciona Science yesterday with the drive shaft issues. How have you recovered from that, looking forward to today? Now you've got just one shot.
I think it's the same for everyone, so we were just making jokes beforehand that it really doesn't matter. If you have a good day in Q1 in a regular system, you will anyway have a good chance to be in the final, and now you know it's already decided after Q1. So I'm quite chilled as always and know that we can't change much. Once we're in the car, we do our best, and may the best man and female win.
I can tell you're all racing drivers. I'd be panicking if I were you, but you're all incredibly relaxed. Johan, in terms of strategy, count back, traction challenge, that's all going to play a bigger part in it now as well. How does that change things?
No, it doesn't change anything. You just, you just have to drive fast, you know, try and drive smart. And I'm not sure if it's the tiebreaker is going to be between the third position car, if that's going to be the traction challenge. But yeah, you just have to drive as fast as you can. Simple as that.
So for all of us in the media here and in commentary, it's all very exciting for you guys. Business as usual. Thank you all very much indeed. That's the update from the paddock.
I love the way they're all like, it doesn't change anything. I'll tell you what it changes. They're going to be even more desperate to win turn 1 because there's only one opportunity. So I'm expecting, don't miss Q2 because it's going to be fire into turn 1. And then the traction challenge, Johan's right. The cut-off between the grand final and the redemption race will be based. If you're P3 in each of the races, you're on that cut-off point, it will go to the Continental Traction Challenge. So do you save your hyperdrive for that? Loads of tactics to come into this. They're playing it cool, but their teams will be going wild.
But here's the thing. Teams are going wild. Strategy is going wild. And the fact of the matter is that nobody knows how this is going to go down. No one knows where the hyperdrive places are to pass. Nobody knows what the start is like, and we now have one session. Anyways, it's time to get back to Saudi Arabia round 2 for some more racing.
spot initially, but actually it can be done. The start, so critical here.
The drivers are a funny bunch, Nikki. They always think they want to be on the inside. You give them a choice to take the inside because they always believe they'll win the start, get to turn one first. It's just that racing driver's belief. So they want what we would call the pole, the inside line to the first corner. But Kristoffersen yesterday pulled it off from P5. I think McConnell on day one with that move to get the whole shot was P3 or P4.
Okay, on the start.
Prediction?
1 minute.
1 minute to go.
1 minute to go. Quick prediction. Who's going to use their Anoa hyperdrive off the start? Anyone?
I think anyone who's in with a shot. If you know you are not within a shot, if you're P5, you might not, because you might be better saving it either for the extra championship points or to try and make a pass later in the race. But anyone mid-pack's going to have a crack at it because it's a drag race from waypoint 1 to waypoint 2.
The tension is building.
30 seconds.
This is the moment, our second race of the season. Yes, Clara, that's what we want to see.
Clara Anderson
Cooper
getting herself fired up, isn't she? Can she get the job done? Up against some big hitters here, but she's a world championship level driver herself. There's nothing to say she won't come out of this in P1. Adrenaline up, lights are up, everybody's looking to get the best start they possibly can on this sandy run down to what we know is a crucial waypoint 1. Well, the Acciona science machine of Ekstrom looked like it had 2 stabs at the throttle, but on the left-hand side of your screen, plenty of room for Anderson. She's not going to make it to turn 1 first. Kristoffersen making the same move as yesterday. Now we look for the Anoa hyperdrive. Kristoffersen goes first, but Ekstrom's used it already. Has got a brilliant exit. No one's getting back to Ekstrom. Kevin Hansen is inside Johan Kristoffersen. They go through turn 1. Kristoffersen sideways in the dip. The RXR machine and Hansen explores the limit of the right-hand side of the road, almost off into the palm trees. That was so fast through turn 2 for Kevin Hansen. It is Ekstrom who leads for Acciona Science. Kevin Hansen, yesterday's winners with Veloce, and in P3, Rosberg X Racing, and Kristoffersen pulls out to the left-hand side, mainly to get some vision, but there's your top 3.
Absolutely phenomenal start there from Matthias Ekstrom, starting in the second position.
Veloce, they bogged down in that corner, and look, RXR have gone straight round them.
Oh no, we need the stand to clear. Right, okay, so have they managed to get it back on track?
Yeah, they're still going, but literally the car came to a total standstill. Ekstrom now going to come alongside the Veloce. So Ekstrom's got a better exit. Look to your right-hand side, you're on board now. Kevin Hansen moving across to try and defend from Matthias Ekstrom in the Acciona Science machine. Meanwhile, look, the RXR's all the way down. Now Ekstrom moves out to the left. This will give him a better entry into the right-hand side. But we know there's nowhere to pass in here. Look at the amount of gap that closes down. Kevin Hansen sideways. The track's getting cut up now. Everybody putting in multiple inputs to try and hang on to these cars. No way through for Ekstrom.
Yeah, it looked like Anderson was losing some pace there on the straight. Ekstrom, however, just clean, running away with it. He's got a 4.5 second lead now.
You're right, it's me completely wrong. I'm thinking Ekstrom's down there at the back, and I've got completely the wrong car, Nikki. There you go. We borrowed you from Formula E. It's me getting it all wrong. You're right, it's the Hummer EV. So yeah, Ekstrom checked out the front. Cooper is still in the running at the back. Look, you can see Clara Anderson is right there still. She's just a second behind the GMC Hummer EV.
Now, interesting, she's still got her hyperdrive to use, so is this going to be her strategy? She kind of held off a little bit at the start. I don't know if that was intentional or she just felt like there wasn't the space to push on through.
That's what we were saying, wasn't it? If you come P5, if you're not going to make it through, then don't waste it. If you know you can't get there, and she knew that she was last into turn 1, she wants to be on the back of that Hummer EV and see if she can at least get one car on the run in. If she can, you know, that's a better opportunity for her teammate Alatia. Don't forget as well, Nasser Alatia, how aggressive he was in his passes, Nikki, when we saw it earlier on in qualifying. But if he starts where he is now, he's going to have to pass 4 cars if they want to take the win. So that'll be some serious aggression if he gets that done.
Love that, Hansen there, gritting his teeth. Rather bumpy ride ahead, but I'm sure he's used to that.
I think most of these guys are used to a bit of gritted teeth and bumping and banging. I think as well that Ekstrom here is being helped out by the fact that Hansen is applying so much pressure to Kristoffersen. They come through the ruts through that long right-hander, and all the while you know you're trying to hold somebody off from behind. Look, Kristoffersen goes defensive on the entry here, so he's taken the left route. Kevin Hansen will try and get a better exit, but Johan is probably thinking there's no way through on the exit there. But driving defensively, Nikki, costs you time, and it's just letting the Acciona Science machine of Ekstrom get away. 6 seconds the gap at the minute.
Yeah, and the guys, obviously at this point, again, back to knowing how many points are available. 25 points up for P1. 18 for P2 and 15 for P3. So it really is critical. Each position means a huge amount in terms of championship standings.
Yeah, it certainly does. 10 rounds, of course, but every point counts. The last two seasons have been decided by one of them was equal on points and one was just 2 points different. Kristoffersen up over the crest, Hansen following in tight into the last few corners. They'll head back up to the coast for a moment. Look at Johan still looks calm in the car, doesn't he? Low sun, filthy screen, visibility is really tricky.
Also, what I love is that this is all about driver skill and talent at this point, because this is a one-car-fits-all, a championship where they all have pretty much the same car, the Odyssey 21.
Hansen's got through. Kevin Hansen's got through. The RXR machine that Kristoffersen, I don't think it was in the right-hander. We were on board. I think we were on board with Kevin Hansen, I reckon, as he passed, but we didn't see where the pass happened. So Kristoffersen has dropped back one place. It's 1.5 seconds back over that big jump drop. Timing at the bottom of the screen is showing positions. I think showing those incorrectly. I'm certain. Yeah, he is. I thought so. Kevin Hansen is through. So our positions just haven't updated the bottom of the screen yet. We saw it. Kevin Hansen making a move. So yesterday's winners up into P2, but they're 6.3 seconds back on Matthias Ekstrom for Acciona Science. So Laia Sanz going to take over there, and Molly Taylor for Veloce.
Yeah, this is the moment. The driver switch. 45 seconds to make a nice, clean, safe swap over for the drivers. Sounds easier than it is. These guys put in a huge amount of practice between races to make sure that this is a nice, smooth moment during the course of the race, but there's a lot going on.
Ekstrom there, fascinating to see what he did into the neutral. Then he reaches down to adjust the belt, because the belts is the thing which takes the longest. I believe they're allowed to have 2 sets of belts for safety, so if you need, because you don't want anybody going out with loose belts, and the low belts are really hard to adjust, particularly you think some drivers have to move forward a long way, but not the shoulder harnesses. Clara Anderson climbing out the Apt Cupra. Oh, they can't get the harness in for Laia Sanz. Done it this time. Door goes down for Kristoffersen. He moves away and leaves Arlen Kotlinski to go and see if she can make up any of those positions. Veloce handed over, Hansen to Taylor. There goes Laia Sanz.
Yeah, Laia Sanz has had some great performances over the course of this weekend, so I'm looking forward to seeing what she can do. Hopefully hold on to that position and increase the gap from the rest of the pack.
So right now, they were 1.7 apart when they came in, and the RXR is right on the back of the Veloce machine. Finally, the Apt Cupra gets let out. So Alatia has got a bit of a mountain to climb, but he took 18 seconds out of the grid earlier on. Can he do the same again here and come back to take this? He's 20 seconds off the leader, which is Laia Sanz for Acciona Science. His team hasn't taken a win yet. They took their first ever TQ yesterday in round 1, top qualifier. They haven't managed to take a win. Carlos Sainz is here, of course, the man who the team is named after, with a back injury at the minute, not able to race. Right, keep your eye on that gap. 5.8 seconds is the gap between our leaders and Molly Taylor. And then Arlen Kotlinski just behind that for RXR. They're going to take risks and try and close it down. Why not? So coming on to the Ocean Straight now, we should see use of the Anoa Hyperdrive. Remember, because they haven't had to use it off the start, they've got plenty of opportunities to now, if they're particularly looking to try and take that Continental Traction Challenge. Now, interestingly, they haven't used it, and that makes me think that they're saving it as a priority to use as a pass, not to try and get the Traction Challenge. They could get both at the same time, but seeing as they're running in air, Nicky, clear air, they could easily have gone for it at that point, and none of them have, so they're all waiting until they're hopefully on the bumper of the car in front. The gap is still 5.5 at the minute. Laia Sanz is doing an absolutely brilliant job of trying to hold on to this.
Yeah, look at that. Absolutely flying. So much pace in the car from Sanz. She brings a real pedigree, despite having only joined the championship 2 seasons ago. Normally we're used to seeing her on 2 wheels, moved across into 4. It took her a little bit of time to get to grips with the championship in XC. But now I think she's really proven herself.
Very much, yeah. Just to make that transition from 2 to 4 wheels, it is a completely different world.
should check out her Instagram page. She's done some cool stuff.
Actually, I'll
I was
do
doing
that.
some Instagram stalking. Yeah.
X44 Vida Carbon Racing looks still leading. In fact, Neil McLaren came close to stealing off just 800ths of a second behind. Not quite close enough. Arlen Kotlinski is just 3 seconds behind Molly Taylor. Both those drivers are absolutely capable of winning this. They can't close the gap down to Acciona Sainz. So Nasser, bottom right-hand side, 16.9 seconds back now. So he's taken... Amanda Sorensen's going back towards the pack as well, but I think they're going to run out of time. They're on the final lap, and I don't think they're going to be able to get there.
Well, it was a strategy move that they tried this morning that paid off, swapping Anderson and Alatia. Perhaps that hasn't paid off in the course of this grand final race.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tactic was just to get here, wasn't it? You know, the least points in the grand final are worth more than the most points in redemption race. Even if you're last here, it's a much better result than it is fighting for those championship points in the redemption race. And, of course, there's a chance of a win. You just never know. The gap is still 5.9. Arlen Kotlinski has dropped a little way back at the minute. Lars Sands, as you see, sweeping up the inside and getting on 2 wheels. Nasser Alatia for Abt Cupra, almost putting it on its roof again, but making a move on Amanda Sorensen. Now we see the use of the Anoa Hyperdrive. They're not close enough to make passes on each other, but they are maybe in a position to be able to try and steal those extra 2 championship points. Veloce would love to get those as well, of course, if they could. After yesterday's haul of points for them, Laia Sands on board now. She must be feeling super stressed.
Yeah, the pressure is very much on in the final lap as they come into that 3rd sector. The nice long right-hander with the beach to your left. Now this is the other overtaking opportunity that we have seen in the past coming up here down the back in sector 4.
It's Alatia, look, who's coming in hot along that beach front, hoping that he can get close enough to have a crack at Arlen Kotlinski, but he doesn't have his Anoa Hyperdrive left. And this team have used their Anoa Hyperdrive as well to great effect. It's Ekstrom and Laia Sands for Carlos Sainz's Acciona Sainz team with just a few turns to go. Yesterday, they took the top qualifier spot. Great performance by them there, but they couldn't convert it into the win. Yesterday, they were P2, but today, they're going to go one better. Laia Sands is going to come down and jump over the finish line. Acciona Sainz win their first ever Extreme race here at Neom in Saudi Arabia. P2 goes to Veloce, yesterday's winners. And P3, RXR hold on from a hard-charging Abt Cupra. Nasser Alatia nearly got back. Amanda Sorensen going to cross the line for GMC Hummer EV Chip Ganassi Racing in P5. Well, not the closest final we've ever seen, but absolutely job done by Ekstrom and Sands. Laia Sands, she must be pleased with that. They've had so much promise. Yes, she is.
A lovely little giggle to herself on team radio, I'm sure.
Oh, that's great, isn't it, to see the pressure dissipate and the smile come. Just a big, toothy grin. I've done it, I've taken a win. In the command centre there, Matthias Ekstrom, what a job by the 2016 World Rallycross champion. Raced, of course, in Extreme Heat. You know what, it's his first win as well. Even though he'd raced in the previous seasons, they never got that top step of the podium. So Ekstrom, Sands and the Acciona Sainz team all taking their first ever Extreme E wins here in round 2. Figuring out how to switch it all off and get out. Well done, Laia. Should be wondering where the team is. They're still coming over, I think, from the command centre. Where are you? Get running, come on.
Just what a brilliant feeling.
Oh, that's lovely, isn't it?
Really nice to see. Really nice to see.
Yeah.
Very sportsmanly indeed.
Molly Taylor is the most successful female driver in this series. She's actually on 4 wins, Nikki, as of yesterday. She had 3, of course, from season 1 with Christopherson. Taking that win yesterday puts her on 4. She's actually the second winningest driver in the series to Christopherson. So Christopherson has 5, Taylor has 4. And now, Laia Sands and Matthias Ekstrom have 1 each. On the board.
Just imagine that feeling. Also being the end of a double-header race weekend, they actually get to enjoy this moment. They can celebrate it tonight with the team.
You can see how much it means to all of them. These guys and girls working so hard to get the start of the season.
And with that win, it put them up into points. They're now tied with Veloce Racing with 46 points. But as we take a look at the sky, the clouds, the fog over in Scotland here for round 3, it is a very different conversation. Laya was actually saying earlier in FP1 that they did have some drive shaft issues. And of course, that will play into how today goes. And yes, Coley, nobody can see Coley right now, but he's raising his hands up saying, hey,
so
look,
close.
there might be a little bit of blue sky peeping through.
It was so close, yeah. There was a QR code up there. Sorry, if they said find out more. Hopefully you figured you can take a picture of your QR code. We've got another one as well for Grid Play. So in the show later on today, you can use those QR codes to head to the website and get some more information if you want it. But look how close we came to racing. It was within our grasp. It was minutes away. But I say, yeah, we had official word from race control. It was the medical helicopter. So the medical evacuation helicopter could not fly in these conditions, and therefore we cannot race. And that's pretty much the same with any motorsport across the world. So we're sorry, we got up early too. Maybe
we're in this together.
Yeah, we're in this together. We're going to get coffee, and it'll be fine. But as Katie said a moment ago, Acciona Science and Veloce with a win each and 46 points each. Bit of work to do for Rosberg X Racing to get towards the front. X44 reigning champions, of course. But it's so close, Katie. Any of these teams can take the win, and we still don't have any data really from Scotland.
And that's exactly right. They know it too. These drivers, these teams know that it is such a close call. 6th, we have Ab Cupra. 7th, there we have the Neum McLaren team. 8th is Carl Cox Motorsport. JBX XE is one of those teams that's going to be a little bit different. But hey, we got time for an interview, Coley, before we go.
Yeah, we have. We're going to head down to the paddock with Laura Winter. Look at that. The sun's out. Nearly. So close.
Thank you. I'm joined by Amanda Sorensen, and we're very much on weather watch, aren't we? We're just watching the fog begin to lift around us. We're beginning to get some visibility down into the start beyond the paddock. Amanda, you're much like the other drivers I've spoken to. Simply, it is what it is. What's the mindset then, with just one qualifying shot to go?
Honestly, I don't know. It's just kind of can't really stress too much about the things you can't control. So we are in control of our race and our one heat that we have to go out, and we have one shot. So no mistakes made, obviously, and it's going to be important to be consistent and make good choices.
I know you absolutely loved it out there yesterday, didn't you? I saw you just sort of after free practice too. You're up there, one of the fastest females looking at these times. You're enjoying the traction on this course, aren't you?
Yeah, this is my first time driving with full traction in the car, being that it's my only second race, and it's insane. These cars rip. I think it was just an enjoyable experience. I was feeling myself, and there was a lot of adrenaline going, but I'm actually super stoked because it is my first real taste of the car.
Yeah, nice. Well, you'll get another taste in a short while. Thanks so much. Best of luck when we do get out there.
Thank you.
Amanda Sorensen, a brilliant addition to this series. She was so fast. I think for me, probably the fastest driver who's jumped straight in the car and just gone for it. She was absolutely brilliant in Saudi Arabia. I was loving her Instagram story. She was like, we're staying at a castle. Like, this is a castle. It was great. All her dinner and everything. And then they were out on the pond in a little boat.
For her.
Yeah.
For them.
Of course, yeah. It's great. Scotland's a beautiful place. And if people haven't been there, it's spectacular. There's that QR code again if you want to find out a little bit more about what's going on with Extreme E. Nothing's going on this morning, unfortunately, because Q1 was cancelled.
That's right. But as Johan Kristoffersson said, hey, look, this doesn't change much. All it does is it takes away some of the icks that could have happened, and it really means game on for what is going to be a Q1, Q2.
Two of the cleverest drivers in the paddock, their history in the World Rallycross Championship, Kristoffersson and Ekstrom. If there's a sly little way around the rules or some little thing that nobody else has figured it out,
they're
probably figuring it out right now.
Meanwhile, you have RJ Anderson there taking a look, and you can see it is still foggy. Yes, cameras do show some blue sky, but visibility there would be tough for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, unfortunately, it just didn't clear in time for us. Look, we will be going racing later on today. We've got Q2 coming up, and then, of course, the redemption race and the grand final as well. So we're sorry if you got up early to join us this morning, but we promise it will be worth it later on today. So make sure you join us to see the whole of round 3, the Hydro X Prix from Scotland. Thank you to Laura Winter, Katie Osborne, and myself, Andrew Coley. We will see you later.
Michael drives now. Michael drives now.